Hey, I wanted to stop in and chat with you today about your creative fire. Welcome behind the scenes here at Jamie Ridler Studios. I am Jamie and it is Tuesday. I woke up thinking about, it's funny, I'm looking at my dream board right now, and in my dream board there is a line of people all arm in arm in spectacular garb, from sparkles to crowns to feathers. And as I look at that, I realize it represents what I was thinking about, this way that I am imagining us all connected through our creative fire. You are the tender of your creative fire. And if you imagine us, each of us, tending that fire with grace, with strength, with wisdom, with enthusiasm, then imagine the world we would live in. Imagine that. And so becoming knowledgeable about how to take care of, how to nourish, how to build, how to spark, how to grow your creative fire, how to manage it so that some days it is like lighting the way, and some days it is a tender ember offering just the warmth that is needed. That is a part of our job as creatives, is loving, growing, tending, being wise about our creative fire. One of the things I see all the time is, and some of you may recognize this, lots of you probably will recognize it. I recognize it too. We want our creative fire to do a bigger job than it's ready to do. So we see like one little spark, we throw on all these logs, we put a cauldron over it, and we wait for it to boil. Meanwhile, it's struggling just to stay alive. So a scenario that is like this is we have the tender beginnings of a creative idea. Maybe we're just in the tender beginnings of understanding that we are creative beings and we want to write, we want to draw, we want to tell stories, we want to take photographs, we want to dance, we want to learn how to use puppets, we want to create. And the first thing we then do is start to figure out, how can I make that a business? How can I make that a business? That's boiling the water with that tiny little spark that's just started and needs to be nourished. And then when it doesn't make the water boil, we think, what the heck? We must not be creative. Our creative fire is not strong. It's just weak. We must not be meant to boil and nourish ourselves with our creativity. Untrue and unfair. We must give our creativity enough time, our creative fire enough energy, enough strength to build so that it is strong, so that it can weather the winds, so that it can do the work we want it to do, so that it can give the light we want it to give. Most often I see that this starts to happen when we are concerned about other people's reaction to our creative desire, so that we want to do all those things. And the only way we feel we can justify them to our partner, to our loved ones, to our work, to our friends, is to say, but this is how I make money. Because everybody gets the need for money. So if you're like, this is my business, this is my work, I must spend time on it, then it gives us a little bit of oomph to say no to other things, a little bit of justification for where to spend our time. But the only value in this life is not money. And we know that. We know that. What we don't know is that we are of value in our own life, that we are allowed to spend the currency of our life on the things that stir our heart. And yes, we all start, all of us, needing to take care of our sustenance needs. That is a given. We have to pay for somewhere to live. We have to eat. This is not against nourishing our fire. This is in support of nourishing our fire. I remember when I was still working at my day job and I was building my creative entrepreneurship work, my coaching work. And there was a while when I really resented the job and I felt it was getting in the way of me doing what I was meant to do. And then I had a real flip in perspective and it changed everything. When I realized that that job was allowing me to let my creative fire build until it was strong enough to boil that water. So please don't misunderstand me when I say that money is not the only value, that I am not acknowledging our need for resources in our creative lives. But part of our discernment, part of our learning, part of our growing wisdom is learning how to put the right resources towards the right thing at the right time. And when we put too much pressure on that little spark of an idea, you know, when we come up, do you have that moment when you come up with a glimmer of an idea and you start smiling or giggling or get tears? Those are the things that I do. Those are my signals that I've tapped into something that's got aliveness for me, something that I really want to pursue. If I go immediately to, and how's that going to make me money? It kind of squashes that energy instead of nourishes it. On the other hand, later on in the process, once it's got a bit of form, when I start thinking about it and I start thinking about who I'm meant to share that with, and I start thinking about how can I do that? How can this be channeled? How can this fire become, should it be in a globe? Should it be in a lantern? Should it be a roaring bonfire? What does it need to do in order to fulfill its job here in the world? Then I can start thinking about turning it into an offering. Then I can start thinking about how I'm going to share it with my community. But in that quick moment, it's like that poor little bud comes out of the ground and you're like, where's my zucchini? I've been waiting for zucchini. I need it now. If you're not going to produce, then I'm going to have to think about pulling you from the garden because I need to produce right now. Ow. Ow. Hey, little spark, when are you going to become a flame? We got some water to boil here, you know. As we yell that, we become that wind that knocks the flame out ourselves. But our job is to tend to the flame. What I want for you is to build that fire with integrity. Build your knowledge of how to become a creative fire builder. Don't squash the energy. Don't put too much pressure on it too fast. Honor yourself. Honor the work. Give it some spaciousness. Take a stand for its value. Take a stand for it with yourself, your loved ones, your friends, your work. Say no to X while you say yes to your creative work. Every time you do that, you give other people permission to do the same. When you say yes to tending your creative fire, you inspire others to tend theirs, and the world becomes brighter. I hope that gives you a lot to think about. Today in your studio, remember your life is your studio. And if you need some inspiration, some structure, some community, come on over to openthedoor.ca and join the studio. We have just opened up the Academy for the spring summer classes. So you can join me for Journal Club. You can join me for Mindful Mondays. And we have also turned our dance class, Awakening, into a self-study class. So you can sign up and get dancing at any time. I hope you'll join me and have a beautiful day.